to politicize the national threat alerts on the weekend before the 2004 Bush reelection. U.S. Congressman Joe Sestak joins us from Philadelphia. You were an admiral in the Navy working at the Pentagon at the time. What do you make of this? This is in the book, by the way. It's not put out by some publicist. It's in the text of the book. We've been studying the book's text. Tom Ridge, former U.S. Congressman, former combat veteran of Vietnam, all kinds of awards as a warrior. He's real. What do you make of this?
He is real. And this is a disappointment that the security of the United States can become a political football is unacceptable. On the bigger picture, when you see that we have had an administration that politicized everything from attorney general's selection over to intelligence and the selection of it to go into a war, you begin to understand rapidly why, one, people really do believe, even if they don't know Tom Ridge, why this is probably true, and second, why so many have lost faith in Washington, D.C. and their politicians, where principle is after politics.
Do you have a sense, as a military guy and as a political guy now, of how politics does play in wartime? I mean, this is a general question. I mean, presidents have to win re-election. They have to win wars at the same time. How do they keep them separate?
It's pretty tough, I'll be honest with you. In the military, we just like to take orders. But I will say this, that during the Rumsfeld regime, and I have respect for a couple of the things that Donald Rumsfeld said, that there was such a difference in how he actually went about his business that I actually stated that he really stole the wardroom. That is, you as a military officer understood that there was a belief, and I'm not saying on politics of winning President Bush's next election, but there was a line of thought to where Mr. Rumsfeld wanted to go. And if you differed in your opinion and you were trying to get to the next step up there, he not only, which was very unusual, interviewed 2 stars and 3 stars as they wanted to go to the 3rd star rank, and which is not uncommon to the 4th star, but not that 2 and 3 star level, that you knew that there had begun to be a bit of more personal politicization of the military. That is very unhealthy. And so leadership of our civilians, never to put politics into a security issue, actually was there to a bit when I was in the military.
Well, is this your accusation that the Bush administration played politics down the line? That they were really interfering with the war effort to play their political games, achieve their own personal agendas?
Yeah, my take is that the Bush administration and its leaders, its civilian leaders, wanted to do things. For example, there was a belief in their mind that we had to have this war with Iraq. And in a sense, those that might have brokered a difference, at least at the very near the top, I believe that to some degree, the ability to provide that judgment, the environment to provide that judgment was absent. It was a pretty tough crowd that came in the administration of President Bush and took over in the Defense Department. And while I might have respect for them, I did not agree with the tone of unwillingness to broker differences of opinion that often happened and was known to us more junior officers in that climate. This situation with Tom Ridge, this is really politics about winning, political campaign, and who often in Washington, since I've been in politics, and I'm not saying it's only Republicans, Chris, people believe winning is more important than public service at times. I really think that Washington forgets that to a large extent, where principles should be triumphing over political calculations. It just doesn't enough.
Congressman, you've probably been in rooms where you've had other people at the table, or maybe in the Congress, where you've looked around the table and had a sense there's some people at that table who had a hidden agenda that began to show itself. I think the phrase is you're tanked, you're put out by an industry or something. And I just saw this movie, In the Loop, about the war in Iraq and how the word seemed to get around, we're going to war with Iraq, and it wasn't clear where it started from, but it became the line. And if you broke from it, you were in trouble, but you could never find out where it became the line. I once asked Secretary Rumsfeld along the lines we're talking, did the president ever ask you if we should go to war with Iraq, and he said, well, he never asked me, which leads me to believe it's not a funny question. It means that they always knew they were in league. In other words, there was an unspoken decision somewhere in the brain, the combined brain of the Bush administration on all these levels, that everything was about politics, everything was about going to war with Iraq, and it was all about justifying this administration that we just got rid of, basically, to go to war and do its thing. And it seems to be hearing the words of Tom Ridge, who wasn't in the loop, saying there seemed to be something afoot in the meetings about whether to establish a higher alert level that didn't have to do with the country's safety. In other words, he senses around the table there's some political stuff going on. And I just wonder how it works inside the top. You've been pretty close up there.
Well, in the Pentagon, General Sheldon was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He used to hand out a book called Dereliction of Duty. It was about Vietnam. And he wanted every officer who reported to the Joint Staff to understand, never again should you not speak your mind, because you can serve this nation ill, as happened during Vietnam. Somehow that was lost, I think, to some degree among our more senior leaders when the Rumsfeld crowd came in. It was harsh when they came in. They let it be known there was a way. And as I said, they actually appointed a former retired officer to interview before Mr. Rumsfeld did, which had never been done before. 2 stars about to go to 3 stars. And my belief is in the military, and it's why I was registered independent, if there's anything that should be nonpartisan, it's that. And in this case with Tom Ridge, to actually fool around with the highest constitutional duty of the president, security of America, and whether you can truly believe it because how you know they've done other types of politicization means that Washington really does need to change. And I have grave concerns over that.
Okay, thank you for U.S. Congressman Joe Sestak. Thank you for joining us. He's running for the United States Senate. Up next.